Welcome to this deep dive. I'm Jeff, founder of By the Book.
And I'm Alexandra, editor here at the channel.
Today we're going to be diving into a novel that, well, it still sparks a lot of debate. Anthony Burgess's A Clockwork Orange.
Yeah, it really does. And just a quick heads up for everyone listening.
Yeah.
We are going to be going into detail on the plot.
Oh, absolutely. Spoilers ahead. So if you haven't read it yet and you want to go in fresh, maybe pause here.
Right. Consider yourself warned.
Okay, so A Clockwork Orange. It just throws you right in, doesn't it? This sort of dystopian England.
Uh-huh. And you see it all through the eyes of Alex. He's, what, 15?
Yeah, 15. And he leads this gang, his droogs, Dim, Georgie, Pete.
And their nights are just, well, Burgess calls it ultra-violence.
Exactly. Fueled by Milk Plus at the Korova Milk Bar.
Which sounds innocent milk, but it's clearly not.
Not at all. We're talking serious stuff. Assault, robbery, vandalism, even murder.
And the way Alex narrates it, that's the first thing that hits you, I think. The language.
Nadsat.
Burgess created this whole slang. It's this wild mix of, like, Russian, Cockney.
And words he just made up. Horror show. Tolchok.
Right. At first, you're kind of struggling, like you're deciphering a code.
You definitely are. It's a barrier, initially.
But it's crucial, isn't it, for getting inside Alex's head? His whole worldview is baked into that language.
Totally. As you keep reading, you start to, pick it up. You almost start thinking in Nadsat.
And suddenly you're pulled right into his perspective, which is, frankly, a pretty disturbing place to be.
It really is. It's this linguistic trick that makes the whole experience so immersive.
And then there's that other layer, the really jarring one. Alex, this monster, basically. He has this intense love for classical music, Beethoven especially.
Ludwig van, as he calls him, the Ninth Symphony.
Yeah. It's such a stark contrast to the violence. It makes him so much more complex, I guess, and unsettling.
Definitely unsettling. So you have this character, this violence, this language, and then the story moves towards trying to, well, fix him.
Right, which brings us to the Ludovico technique.
Yeah, that's really at the heart of the conflict, isn't it? His crime spree, getting caught, and then this experimental treatment.
And that immediately throws up these huge questions about free will versus, well, being programmed. Determinism.
Is it better to choose to be good or to be made good?
Exactly. Burgess really puts that front and center. What does it even mean to be human if you don't have that choice?
And how far can the state go? Interfering with someone's basic freedom, even if it's supposedly for the greater good.
It's a massive ethical minefield.
Something I found really chilling was just how bored they seemed, Alex and his droogs.
Oh, yeah. There's this profound apathy.
The violence almost feels like entertainment for them, a way to pass the time. There's this complete lack of empathy, no respect for their victims at all.
It's pure nihilism, really, stemming from teenage boredom, maybe, but taken to an extreme.
And Alex himself, Burgess pulls off this incredible trick. He's horrifying, obviously.
Utterly repulsive in his actions.
But his narration.
Yeah.
There's this dark charisma there. You kind of hate him, but you also can't stop listening to him.
You're compelled. It's a very uncomfortable feeling as a reader.
Definitely. So let's talk more about this Ludovico technique. How does it actually work?
Well, it's this experimental program. They basically strap Alex into a chair, prop his eyes open, and force him to watch films filled with extreme violence, really graphic stuff.
Okay.
And while he's watching, they inject him with a drug that makes him feel incredibly sick, nauseous.
So the idea is to condition him, to associate violence with feeling physically ill.
Exactly. Aversion therapy, basically. Make violence itself repulsive to him on a gut level.
But there's a catch. A really significant one.
Oh, yeah. The unintended consequence. They play classical music during these sessions, including Beethoven, as in Ludwig van.
Oh, no.
So the conditioning links the music to the nausea and the violence. He ends up unable to even listen to his beloved music without feeling violently ill.
That's brutal. It destroys the one thing, maybe the only thing, that seemed not evil about him.
It really is. And this is where the whole current of morality gets twisted. The treatment works in a way. He can't commit violence anymore.
But can he choose not to?
That's the point. He's lost the ability to choose. He's not a moral agent anymore, making a conscious decision between right and wrong. He's just physically prevented.
Like a Clockwork Orange. Organic on the outside, mechanical on the inside.
Precisely. It forces you to ask, is morality just about behavior? Or does the choice matter? Is it innate or can it be programmed?
So they release him, cured. What happens then?
Well, he's incredibly vulnerable. He can't fight back. He can't even defend himself because any hint of aggression makes him sick.
So he becomes a target.
A huge target. He runs into people he victimized before, like the writer F. Alexander.
Right. The one whose wife Alex and his droogs attacked.
Yes. And the writer recognizes him and sees an opportunity to use Alex as a weapon against the government that sponsored the treatment. It gets very political.
And doesn't he also run into his old droogs?
He does, Dim and Georgie. And in this really dark, ironic twist, they're now police officers.
Oh, wow.
And they haven't forgotten Alex. They basically give him a savage beating, taking advantage of his helplessness.
The irony is just staggering. The perpetrators become the enforcers.
It really underscores the cynicism of that world. And it circles back to the importance of Nadsat, I think.
How so?
Well, that unique language, it's not just window dressing. It's fundamental to why the book works, why it's so memorable.
Yeah, I agree. It forces you to engage on a different level.
You're actively decoding it as you go. You're learning Alex's world from the inside out through his specific twisted vocabulary.
It makes the immersion so much more powerful, even if it's immersion in something horrific.
I wonder what the book would feel like without it. Maybe. Too bleak? Too overwhelming?
Possibly. The Nadsat gives it this weird energy, this almost poetic quality sometimes, despite the subject matter. It electrifies the horror in a strange way.
Electrifying is a good word for it. Now, we should probably talk about the ending. Or rather, the endings.
Ah, yes. The famous Chapter 21 controversy.
Right. So the version most people in the U.S. read for a long time ended after Chapter 20, with Alex seemingly unchanged, back to his old ways, or ready to be.
Very bleak. Very cyclical.
But the original British version, and the one Burgess intended, has a final chapter, Chapter 21.
And what happens in that chapter?
It shows Alex, well, growing up. He starts getting tired of the violence, finding it kind of boring, actually.
Really?
Yeah. He sees one of his old droogs, Pete, settled down with a wife, and Alex starts thinking about maybe wanting that too. A family, stability. He seems to be naturally outgrowing the ultraviolence.
So a sense of redemption, or at least maturation.
Exactly. For Burgess, that chapter was crucial. It turned Alex into a character capable of change, making the novel more about human development, less just a fable about free will.
But the American publisher cut it.
They did. They apparently felt American audiences preferred the darker ending, Alex, as irredeemably evil, more shocking, maybe more commercially viable at the time.
Wow. That changes the whole message, really.
Completely. Burgess was apparently quite unhappy about it. He felt the book became too famous for the wrong reasons, partly because of the film, and maybe too simplistic, too didactic, as he put it, without that final nuance.
It speaks to different views of human nature, doesn't it? Like original sin versus the possibility of growth and change.
Absolutely. Pelagianism versus Augustinianism, almost in literary form.
When you think about A Clockwork Orange, alongside other dystopias like 1984 or Brave New World, they share themes of control, obviously. But Clockwork feels different. Maybe it's Alex's voice, that dark wit.
Yeah.
It makes it feel strangely more energetic, even enjoyable, despite the horror.
I see that. It doesn't have the same kind of oppressive, monolithic state feel as 1984, perhaps. It's more about societal breakdown and youth culture gone wrong.
You could maybe draw a line to something like Trainspotting, too.
Yeah.
With the immersive slang, the focus on a specific subculture.
That's a good comparison, the way the language pulls you in. And maybe Lord of the Flies for that exploration of inherent human darkness when the rules break down.
Yeah, good points. And we mentioned the title earlier, A Clockwork Orange. Burgess's explanation is key, right?
Yeah, he talked about it representing something that looks natural, organic, and orange, but is actually artificial, mechanical inside, like clockwork.
Which is Alex after the Ludovico technique.
Yeah.
Outwardly behaving, inwardly just.
Yeah.
Conditioned, not freely choosing.
Exactly. It perfectly encapsulates that central theme.
So when you step back from it all, it's so much more than just a story about teenage thugs.
Oh, definitely. It's this incredibly dense, thought-provoking book about choice, control, what makes us human.
The ethics of forcing someone to be good, what does that even mean?
And what's the cost? If society removes the choice to do wrong, does it also remove something essentially human, even from the worst of us? It's disturbing. It's challenging. But the language, the character, it's unforgettable.
Truly unique. It's one of those books that really sticks with you, makes you wrestle with uncomfortable questions.
Absolutely. And maybe that's the final thought to leave people with. Considering this whole idea of forced goodness.
Yeah.
What does it actually mean to be good?
Right. Can real morality exist without the freedom to choose evil?
Something to chew on. Thanks for taking this deep dive with us today.